Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. My name's Luke. I am, I suppose, the managing director of Into Consult. We're a finance and ERP recruitment business. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this webinar is it's something we're getting discussed consistently across the board around what are the top finance skills, how are they affected, what employers want in 2025, and some of the emerging trends and how to position yourself moving forwards. So a bit about me, hopefully it comes here. So for those that don't know me that have joined, welcome. I'm Luke. I'm the managing director. I've been the managing director for Into Consult now for the last, almost 8 years. It'll be 8 years in July. I also mentor part-time for recruitment mentors. I've got about 20 years worth of recruitment experience. And I co-founded an ERP and transformation specifically around financial systems and implementations with my old boss, to be fair, Ashley Dunbar from Cloud2 Consult. So hopefully that gives you a bit of a flavour of who I am and what I do. So look, why are finance skills evolving? I think that's a really good point to start. AI and automation. Look, the jobs that are within the finance market today will not be necessary in the same way tomorrow. We're already seeing it, from clients that are investing quite heavily in terms of like how they're utilizing the data. You're seeing that from a finance business partnering perspective already, where they're trying to obviously explain complex financial matters to non-financial stakeholders. And AI and automations are only going to drive that by being able to get a handle on the data much quicker than they can today. It does mean that, some of the shift is around probably having leaner finance divisions, specifically around sort of transactional finance. So sort of your AP, credit control, those sort of roles. We're really seeing clients already investing a lot in terms of like ERP divisions, or paying some of those consultants working or those professionals working in those areas more, but then having to be heavily involved in like the systems, ensuring that either the P2P or R2R or those kind of processes are followed correctly. Some of the reasons why the finance skills are evolving is because there's, since COVID, I do think there's been a much bigger drive for people to work on site. We've already got a number of positions available that are either fully on site or 4 days or 3 days. But some of those models with those larger enterprises that are offering more of a fully remote thing is a lot around like new skills that are required and how that is being communicated. Something called Otter AI, which I know a number of different businesses are investing quite heavily in terms of like a note-taking perspective, or making sure that everything is transcripted and passed across. And from a finance perspective, the ability to be able to cross communicate with teams, especially offshore. We work with a lot of US-led businesses, and also companies with headquarters abroad. They really are looking for, I suppose, people that aren't just finance professionals, that are very technical. Gone are the years where people used to think finance were the people in the back office that used to sit in the back of the room, not say a lot, etc. Clients are really looking at the value add and being able to communicate, across borders. Clear and key financial information is really important. There's been a real increased focus on data-driven decisions. My last webinar highlighted some of the challenges that we're facing with, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, tariffs, wars, etc., and how that's kind of affecting the market. Now, when there is a lot more fear, I'm sure if anyone here looks at markets like the S&P 500 and how, or even crypto or those sorts of areas where it's just so volatile, that means that clients are data is king. We work with founder-led businesses, FTSE 250, and a lot of them are asking for people to like, look, I need the data to make informed decisions around our business, whether that's reducing costs, streamlining processes, restructuring, implementing systems, etc. So there really has been a focus on that, and that kind of leans quite a lot into the AI and automation process as well with ERP. We're also seeing now, because it is a very client-led market, there's more candidates on the market, but that means that when we're speaking to stakeholders, there really is a big focus on industry specific for certain positions. If you're in commercial finance, that might be because if you're working for a manufacturing business, there's various different things that are more important to those companies than a technology company or a SaaS company or even a PE backed. So clients have been very specific in terms of, either industries or niche or SOCs or whatever it might be that they're really driven by. Whereas before, I always used to say, when you're taking on a permanent hire, you're definitely investing in someone's journey. But if you're taking on a contract hire, you're investing in the destination. They should be able to come on site and deliver from day dot. Now there really is a much more need of actually being able to be a specialist in some form, whether that's industry specific, vertical specific, or vice versa. Because one of the things that you'll notice if any of you are looking for roles out there in the market is a lot of the SMEs have been more affected within the market. And that means that, a lot of these larger companies, they tend to have people that are very specialized in one vertical within finance. So these are some of the areas that we're definitely seeing. And clients are looking for people that have used some sort of system or change, have been involved in data, focusing on, leaner teams and how they can actually deliver a best-in-class performance with that, whilst utilizing systems to ensure that, the level of service provided is still very up in keeping. Most in demand skills right now. So we are incredibly busy, to be fair, on the commercial side, FP&A, modeling, forecasting, using tools like Anaplan, etc., and stuff like that. Like Carl Wicks, he's one of the directors here, is consistently, placing 2-3 roles a week, really, in terms of candidates that have the skill set from an FP&A perspective, so understand the data sets, but can also commercially, in a business partnering sense, explain that to stakeholders across the board. Group reporting is just not going away. Your financial statutory accounts, delivering year end, strong knowledge of IFRS. We're just seeing, an increased uptick in terms of people looking at that as a vertical as well. If you went on our website, not all our roles are posted on there, but there's God knows how many different group reporting positions across the North, London, and Thames Valley for the 3 verticals that we work within. And that's because even with AI and technology, pulling and consolidating those accounts into one perfect pack and presenting to stakeholders is still quite key. And I think, from both these parts, like group reporting used to be traditionally, a lot of people go down the career route of Big Four, ACA or top 10, ACA, qualify, move into a financial reporting role, and I suppose, not be looked at really from the value add. Now it's, even when we got group reporting roles, clients are going like, look, we would like someone that ideally can do a bit of FP&A or has, implemented a consolidation system or wants to be involved in that. Which is quite key. We've got 3 or 4 of those positions live, I know, in London, just now as well, just in terms of clients that are looking for that skill set. Data visualization and analysis and reporting, Power BI and Tableau, the amount of dashboards clients are doing and presenting to senior stakeholders is crazy. Process automation, Alteryx, RPA, UPath, there's a real heavy push at the moment to utilize systems for cost saving initiatives long term. Obviously short term it's not really a cost saving initiative, and that goes across cloud ERP and cloud finance systems, SAP HANA, Oracle, NetSuite. We're doing huge programs with Workday at the moment, and there's a lot of clients looking at, okay, cool, we've paid for some of these systems, what else can we get out of the back of it, especially when you look at like ESG and sustainability reporting. I think the one thing I would say is, with Donald Trump, etc., maybe ESG is maybe not at the forefront of some of the US-led businesses, but definitely in terms of, the environmental, social and governance surrounding that finance and having that skill set is definitely something that a lot of UK entities and businesses are looking at, and a skill set that, I would say definitely does separate you from the rest if you've been involved with those parts. AI assisted auditing, it is coming. I think if you look at like the big four, top 10, and like some of the things they've done in order to streamline teams, they're definitely looking at this very clearly in terms of, okay, cool, how can we make our teams leaner? What can we do in order to do that? And what does the job role look like? I think it'd be naive to think, even from a recruitment perspective, that our roles will remain the same, where AI, is already changing the way in which I work in terms of like ChatGPT, Grok, automations on our database. We've got 54,500 candidates. AI is already helping us, shortlist, contact and communicate with our database already. And then when you look at forecasting and reconciliations, the more AI gets embedded into businesses, the more companies are going to be looking for people that can add that value add. So I think focusing on soft skills and working on, understanding the technical side, but how do you communicate that to a layman, or someone that doesn't necessarily fully understand or utilize budgets, forecasts, group reporting on a day-to-day basis, can really separate you out from the crowd. So again, when we're talking about soft skills, strategic and critical thinking, a few years ago, like every business is obviously very different. But a lot of businesses were maybe not looking to be challenged. Now, when we're looking at senior finance, that's definitely, especially with the private equity firms that we work with, that's definitely something they're looking for. They want people that can actually challenge internal stakeholders, whether it's the sales team, the marketing team, technology team, whatever it might be, based on those numbers, and come up with ways in which finance can add value. Finance should no longer be viewed as the stick, should be viewed as the carrot or the incentive in order to drive change across borders within the business. And that means that a business partnering mindset. I hate it when I see a finance business partner role advertised online, because I think they can be quite generic in terms of what they're looking for, because often it's either really it's an FP&A or it's a management accountant who's basically got some commercial focus or whatever it might be. But from that perspective, actually having the mindset of like, look, I need to be cross-pollinating with different people in the business, especially if you're more junior, and if you're in a management accounting role and your goal is to get to a C-suite level position, you really have to be able to challenge and improve processes, as well as being able to business partner with people that are non-financial stakeholders and have that kind of growth mindset. I know it's a strange thing to say for some of you might be working with some businesses where that's certainly not the case. But definitely a C-suite, that's often like looking, okay, cool, we need to be lean today, but where are we going to be tomorrow? And what does that look like? And market recovery, okay, has not been great for 2025, but I know from speaking to a number of different stakeholders in terms of decisions they're making now to be lean, they're definitely looking at growth in 2026 and what that might look like from and what skills might be required with the change in technology, which is ultimately affecting everyone's jobs. Now, when we go on that, manual reporting, I'm sure some of you probably work for some businesses that are incredibly Excel heavy. And I do think we're probably a few years away from, Excel not existing. But I definitely think from speaking to businesses, that manual reporting and how can we get finance teams more productive is going to be a real key driver, as well as, making sure like all of this is to improve the productivity of the staff they've got within the business, and ultimately meaning that they can obviously add more value on a day-to-day. The human role is to interpret, advise, and guide strategy, not to be, reconciling 10 million lines of data. I work with a very large fintech business, and this is something that they're really working on at the moment. They've got a product control function that delivers specifically on balance sheet of probably like 40 people in the UK. Their goal will be to streamline this so they can actually get the value add out the back of it, because at the moment it's obviously a very manual task. And then again, a lot of businesses haven't had the ability to go back and look at historical analysis. Where have they been before? Can that make it more predictive in terms of like, does our forecast match where we've been before? What does that look like, and how can we interpret that in order to come up with better budgets moving forwards, and hiring strategies or processes or controls, or what can we look at in terms of the past in order to look forward thinking. Tools, qualifications. One thing I generally, for anyone in finance, whether you're in AP, credit control, like we're working a number of like AP positions at the moment where they're implementing new systems. I really would say like investing in knowledge across either an ERP or visualization like Power BI or data wrangling, SQL, Anaplan or Workday, whatever it might be, really investing in like, okay, where do you think the market might be going? I know it sounds strange coming from a recruiter, but one thing I would always say is when you actually look at where you want your career to go, you need to know where the market is going. And all like across the board, we recruit from C-suite all the way down to Transact, and we have teams working in different verticals across multiple locations in the UK. And when you break that down, and you see the data that we are getting and the meetings that we're discussing, it's all around like systems change, automation, AI, ERP, and that's something that you really want to invest time into and go like, okay, cool, like if you're in a senior role within your business, what are the systems that can actually implement and help us with our roles, or how can we get maybe the month end down to day one reporting or day 7 or whatever it might be. And clients are definitely, because the market is broader, are focusing a lot more around fully qualified. I'll be honest, QBE candidates are probably commanding about a 15% reduction in terms of salaries based off the same person that is qualified. Like if you're not in the process of qualifying or haven't qualified in either ACCA, CIMA, ACA, CPA, one of them, admittedly CFA is probably one of the ones that's less seen, but you really want to look at qualifying in order to get there, because you will command a higher salary. We are also seeing a lot of clients looking for first, second, third time movers from practice, because of their ability, and they're used to working with stakeholders on a day-to-day basis, driving audit, corresponding with different clients, etc., because those soft skills are embedded from an early focus. So if I was to give any advice, if you're not qualified, definitely qualify, and look at like systems and processes and what can be changed. Digital finance is definitely a driver, and that's something I'm hoping is coming across within this. Obviously, ESG is something that is also hot on its coattails in terms of the environmental and social and governance side of the business, and finance is driving a lot of that change. Which, to be fair, is great to see when you're looking at these companies that we're supporting at the moment. Oh, sorry, the slide's been a bit slow there. How to build yourself, build a hybrid skill set. I think I keep saying it, but if you're in FP&A, go get some group reporting. If you're in I don't know, if you're in credit control, do some AP. But like in terms of if you want to get to that senior leadership of the business, a lot of those people have come from backgrounds whereby they have skill sets across the board, where they started within a niche, as mentioned at the beginning, have added value, hopefully, been part of some sort of system. I'm pretty sure, we've got quite a few people who joined us today. A number of you are either going for a system change internally, or that is on the agenda. Invest in lifelong learning. What I mean by that is exactly what I said before. What value add can you bring to the table, and are you challenging stakeholders internally or across the board in terms of how finance can better impact the business? Again, when we're even speaking to clients at the moment, probably given the market that there is more candidates, less roles, and therefore clients can be more specific in terms of what they're looking for. But even people at account assistant, AP, credit control, junior financial analysis are being involved in process improvement, because that's a really clear goal for a lot of our clients at the moment, where there's maybe not that growth mentality across the board, although in some sectors there are. They're still looking for people that I suppose can showcase that they can make an impact. And when I'm on meetings with clients around candidates and profiles, that's often one of the first questions, like what impact do they have in the finance team? Where have they showcased value? Because with ChatGPT as well, if any of you guys are hiring, I definitely would not recommend doing your CV on ChatGPT. We can spot it a mile off, and so can clients. And it's like there's a lot of people that kind of showcase or trying to showcase the same thing, and ChatGPT does spit out a CV that looks very similar again and again and again. again, get exposure to cross-functional teams and projects, kind of run through that. Stay current on industry trends. So we've got UK SOX and a number of regulations coming in. There are some businesses like banking, etc., where there are certain standards that are more required than necessarily in manufacturing. But make sure that you're obviously investing in time. And if anyone obviously wants to speak after this around, what areas, depending on their profile, etc., that they should be investing in now to help their career in the future, reach out. Emerging trends. We do a huge amount of work with fintech and financial services and banking. They're kind of all wrapped into one, to be honest with you. But payments businesses, there's just so much going on in terms of that. They're obviously high growth, high scale. Often they're either PE backed or looking at an IPO. We're working with one at the moment that's looking like it might be going through that process. When you look at manufacturing, a lot of those are around cost modeling or systems. A lot of them are utilizing coins. FMCG, there's been a much growing need around FP&A, marketing, automation, and PL reporting. So there's a lot of emerging trends across these. One thing I would say is a lot of fintech businesses are primarily looking for people that are either from a financial services, banking, or fintech background. That's just how they kind of marry up. Manufacturing and FMCG in terms of multi-site, but there's also been a big driver and change in terms of a lot of those businesses are now implementing systems and change whereby they were not before. I think manufacturing and construction was quite old school, if I'm honest, but that is definitely already changing from a lot of businesses. There's one we're working with at the moment that's doing it's around about 900 million, and are literally looking at implementing a brand new consolidation tool. A lot of businesses that we work with in construction are often a little bit slower in terms of uptaking technology, and it's good to see that those trends are evolving in the right direction. That leaves me on to, I suppose, how we can help. So if anyone on here is obviously looking for work, like I said, we're like Into Consults, a finance specific recruitment agency. It's all we do day in, day out, with teams working in Transact, junior to part qualified, and qualified across commercial and reporting and senior placements across Thames Valley. We've got consultants in Manchester and in London. This is just a few of our lovely bunch on here during our month end. I think where we can add value is in terms of giving you clear market insight of roles you might be either recruiting for, or honest appraisal around the market and what clients are looking for. If you are looking to really make yourself stand out if you're on the market, because it is more of a challenging one. I'm sure you probably had that communicated to you before. And you really need to separate yourself from the market. But there is also a real need from clients looking at specific niches in terms of what they want to deliver. Any questions? Does anyone want to ask? Any question? Oh, 1 second. Sorry, the chat's just okay. Okay. Will the CFA so Yaya Barry has asked a question, how can I access the slides? So after this, if any of you would like me to obviously share any of the slides with you, more than happy to. Please obviously just drop your email in the chat. If you drop your email in the chat, then I will send it across straight away after. In terms of the CFA qualification be relevant in the future, it's a really good question. I personally don't see a lot of clients asking for it, being honest. It's certainly some perfect. Thanks, Barry. It's definitely a qualification that I would say is probably looking like it's going to be less valued in the future.